What is going on? How is everybody doing today? Hope everybody had a good week, and I hope everybody has a good start to this week. But we are back with another Virginia Tech video because it's been a little bit since we've done one, and I did promise to keep them coming, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep them coming. But I do have there's kind of a debate going on, which I think I know the answer to the debate, and I think a lot of other people do know the answer to the debate. But we're gonna kind of talk about it a little bit here. It's mainly on the quarterback topic. So there was a debate going on whether Ethan Grunkemeyer transferred over to be the quarterback one, or if there's going to be an open quarterback battle in camp. And I'm gonna kind of give my thoughts and opinions on it. Not gonna go too in depth, but kind of let you know what I think, because look, I'm a Penn State fan, like I think many of you guys know. So I kind of know how James Franklin operates in the quarterback room and with the offense and just who he plays and who he doesn't play. And I think I know what's going to happen here. So I do want to give some intel for Virginia Tech fans and kind of give you my thoughts and opinions, kind of just knowing what James Franklin will do here. So first off, I do want to greatly appreciate all the Virginia Tech fans because you guys show me massive amounts of support on every single video that I ever post. So I greatly appreciate you guys for that. And like I said, we're going to keep them coming. You know, not many people do Virginia Tech content, so I want to be kind of the outlet that you can come to for that Virginia Tech content, because we have a lot more on the way. Full transfer portal haul and everything. Full coaching staff, all that stuff. So if you're a Virginia Tech fan, at the end of this video, if you do enjoy, greatly appreciate it if you consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a lot. And like I said, going to keep giving you a lot of Virginia Tech content. So let's get straight into it. So Ethan Grunkemeyer came over from Penn State, which was, I'd say, the big portal pickup for Virginia Tech. You know, I'd say this was probably the biggest portal pickup that Virginia Tech did. I think Ethan Grunkemeyer is a true game changer, and that's a guy that, as a Penn State fan, really wanted to keep him around. You know, I think he has an incredibly high ceiling that we haven't yet got to see. You know, down the stretch after Drew Aller went down for Penn State, Ethan Grunkemeyer came in, and he looked like a very good quarterback. He looked like he showed the potential to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country at some point. And, you know, I think that his ceiling is that high. He was a highly touted quarterback out of high school, and that's for a reason. I'll say that's for a reason, and I think that he has a very good shot at developing into that player. Now, he is in kind of the same offense that he kind of knows about, but it's an offense that probably won't play to his true abilities. But I think Ethan is a guy who can adjust, which he's shown at Penn State as well. So I think Ethan Grunkemeyer is going to be a very good quarterback for Virginia Tech, and I think Virginia Tech fans should be thrilled to have him, which we've talked about in past videos. But you also brought in a guy in Bryce Baker. Bryce Baker transferred from North Carolina. He was the top quarterback in North Carolina coming out of high school, and highly touted quarterback coming out of high school, especially in that North Carolina area. And you know, a lot of North Carolina Tar Heels fans really wanted him to start last year. A lot of people really wanted him to start, first off, because the quarterback situation was pretty bad over there. You know, Gio Lopez wasn't working out. Max Johnson didn't work out. And Bryce Baker was just sitting on the bench as a true freshman. So a lot of people were really hoping that Bryce Baker would get somewhat of a shot last year. And he was never able to get that shot. So a lot of fans started to speculate over there whether Bryce Baker was going to hit the portal or not. That was also a big reason they wanted him to start, was they were scared of the odds that he would transfer. And he ended up transferring. I don't know how big his market was, but it was a great job by Virginia Tech to go out there and see that talent sitting in the transfer portal with not much interest, and going out and snagging him and bringing him in, especially when you had full intentions on going out and getting Ethan Grunkemeyer. So I think this means something. So if you look, Ethan Grunkemeyer doesn't have that much experience in game. He's only played about half a season. That half a season looked very good, like I've talked about. He's still very young, but he has 1 year on Bryce Baker, 1 or 2 years on Bryce Baker. So here's what I think. I'm going to give you a few different situations. So if Bryce Baker does come in and he's willing to take this backup spot and maybe develop behind Ethan Grunkemeyer, develop in this quarterback room, and just kind of learn the new offense for a few years before he gets to start, I think that once Ethan is gone, all right, so if Ethan goes to the NFL, if Ethan has some great seasons, goes to the NFL early, as like his junior year or something, Bryce Baker's going to have like 2 or 3 years to play. Now, if Ethan sticks it out until he's out of eligibility, Bryce Baker's going to have, I think, 1 year left. So that's 1 year to really go out and showcase your talents. But I think Bryce Baker, or I'm not saying I think. Here's why I think. So knowing James Franklin at Penn State, when Drew Aller came in, he obviously Sean Clifford was like a 6th or 7th year quarterback at the time. Like he played there for a while, or 5th or 6th year. He played for a while at Penn State, and Drew came in. He was the backup, but when Drew got in, there was a quarterback battle for that backup spot. Drew wasn't automatically the backup, even after being the #1 quarterback in his class, being the 5-star talent. He was never automatically the backup. They brought in Jackson Smolik in the same class. I believe it was that class. And they had a battle. They had a battle in camp. And there was a real possibility that Jackson Smolik was going to win that QB2 battle. But Drew Aller ultimately ended up winning. And, he sat behind Sean for a year. The whole expectation was, all right, once Sean leaves, Drew's going to be the guy. Hands down, Drew's going to be the guy. Well, we get to that camp. Sean leaves. The next camp, we hear about a quarterback battle. We hear that Drew Aller is in a quarterback battle with, who was it, Bo Perbula? Oh, no, it was Bo Perbula, not Jackson Smolik. Then Jackson Smolik comes in, and we hear that there is a quarterback battle with Drew Aller, Bo Perbula, Jackson Smolik. So, full expectations on Drew being that guy. There was still a quarterback battle. So Ethan Grunkemeyer doesn't have much experience. Bryce Baker has no experience. I don't think Ethan, in James Franklin's eyes, I don't think Ethan's done enough, which I think he has. I personally think Ethan's done enough to get handed the starting job, to come over and be the guy day one. I think in James Franklin's eyes, Ethan's probably not for sure the starter yet. I think there's going to be a quarterback battle. It's going to lean towards Ethan Grunkemeyer. If I had to give odds, I think 90%, 95% chance Ethan's going to be the starter no matter what. There's going to be a quarterback battle, I'll tell you right now. You'll hear about a quarterback battle with Ethan Grunkemeyer and Bryce Baker. But, I think Ethan's going to get the job. I think James Franklin knows that Ethan is going to get the job. But for the media, there's still going to be a quarterback battle. It may even go down to the last week of camp, because that's kind of what we saw with Drew Aller as well. That's just how James Franklin operates. Nobody's going to get handed that position. Or the media says nobody's going to get handed that position. But I think James Franklin knows deep down what's going to happen. But he's still going to give a chance for Bryce Baker to battle it out for that starting spot. Because, I think it's just going to bring the best out of Bryce Baker, being the younger guy. And I don't know. I just think that's how it's going to work. I mean, I know there's not much intel there, but that's just kind of my thoughts and opinions. Like I said, knowing how James Franklin operates. So Virginia Tech fans expect Ethan Grunkemeyer to be the guy day one, which I think is a good move. Expect Bryce Baker to be in a quarterback battle, though. He's going to be in a quarterback battle for that quarterback one spot. I wouldn't take it too serious. When you hear about it, I wouldn't take it too serious, because I still think Ethan's going to win the job no matter what. So that's just kind of what I know, or think, knowing how James Franklin operates, unless something changes. Unless he has a new style of coaching. We don't know. We don't know, because it's a whole new era. So if you did enjoy this video, I greatly appreciate it. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel. Like I said, lots of Virginia Tech content coming. And as we learn more in the transfer portal, we're going to keep covering that. And pretty much the whole transfer portal haul that James Franklin has brought over to Virginia Tech, I'll be doing a video on that as well, probably next week or week after. So stay tuned for that one if you want to see every single pickup that Virginia Tech has had in the transfer portal. So yeah, that'll do it for this one. I greatly appreciate you guys as always, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.